What's going on? Jake here with Uncommon EDC, and today I'm doing a Fun Knife Friday, which is exactly what it sounds like. But before I get into that, I did want to give a shout out to another knife YouTube channel making some great content, and that is Singing Toad, which you may have guessed from that sticker there, but here's a closer up look at it. He reached out a couple weeks ago about initiating a sticker swap, and since then we've had a chance to chat, get to know him a little bit better. Great guy, putting out some great content, so definitely worth checking out. Stickers are also really cool, really illustrative of exactly that channel name. But also wanted to kind of hone you in on that Canadian maple leaf. And so he is based out of Canada, which is just fun to interact with people in other parts of the world that are into the same hobby that you are. But also wanted to point that out because he recently set up a Canadian traveling knife. And so we have one here in America, there's one in the UK as well, but he organized it with some other YouTube channels based out of Canada. That's just getting started, so definitely check that out. And I will link to his channel in the description, as well as tag him in the video title. But also wanted to point out the stickers here. These aren't his channel stickers, but just some fun Canadian stickers, and really cool that he included that, because that's kind of the coolest part. You know, obviously interacting with any other people in the hobby is fun, but really fun to interact with people in other parts of the world. And so really appreciative of him sending those over. He also sent a really lovely note, which I'm not going to show here, but thanks again to Singing Toad, and give him a shout out, check out his videos, let him know I sent you, subscribe, all that good stuff. But let's get into today's video. So Fun Knife Friday, like I said, exactly what it sounds like. And I don't know who came up with this idea. It wasn't me, it's not an original idea. Plenty of channels have Fun Knife Friday videos, so just search Fun Knife Friday on YouTube and you'll find a bunch of them. I know Knife Chats with Tobias does them pretty regularly, but like I said, a bunch of people are doing them, so don't want to take credit for that, but also don't know who to credit for it. But for me, I wanted to do something a little bit different today. I had a different video altogether planned and realized at the last minute that that wasn't going to work for today and I needed to delay it a couple days. So rather than, put together notes on something else, thought I would just go off the cuff and do something kind of fun. And so I have no notes. I usually keep them on this boogie board. Have no idea where I'm going to go with this. I have a general thought on what I want kind of the action item at the end or the takeaway to be, but other than that, just kind of winging it. So why I chose these two knives for the first Fun Knife Friday on my channel was that I bought both of these knives because they were fun, because they were cool or interesting, unique, whatever you want to use to describe them. I bought them for that reason, not because I thought they were going to be especially functional. And in the case of this first one, which is the Reate Exo, I'm not even legally allowed to carry this. They're very illegal in a lot of different places, not just here in California, which happens to have some stricter knife laws, but it's illegal in most places. And so picked this up just for the fun of it. And it's a gravity knife, so not super original. They've been made in the past. These ones got popular a couple years ago, and so I think it was a big success for them. They've done a bunch of different variations, and this isn't a review video neither on either knife because I've done separate videos on both these knives. Just kind of wanted to talk about them and the general concept behind them. But it's doubly illegal for me because it's also a double-edged blade, and so we're not allowed to carry double-edged blades. So in either case, wouldn't be able to carry this, even if on the off chance that they legalize gravity knives here in California. But I really just wanted to try the mechanism, and it is as fun as it looks. It works off of gravity, as you might imagine. You hold on to this top portion of the scale, drop it down, and then depending on which way it's leaning, it will slide out or back in. And it's held in place by this pill-shaped portion of metal on the tang of the knife that just kind of slides up and locks into place when you close the top or on the bottom. And so you can see it here, and your hand holding on to it keeps it from going anywhere, and it's actually pretty stable. There's a little bit of movement in the blade, as you might imagine, but it's pretty minimal for just sitting on this track and being held in place by your hand. And so this actually is a pretty functional knife. I use it around the house to open packages all the time. Not really that much more than that, but also just happen to enjoy fidgeting with it. Now this one is a SMKW exclusive version. It has, I believe this was called the Arctic Storm carbon fiber on it, but there's been a bunch of different versions, and there's a bunch of newer versions that aren't the same knife with different inlays, but also like changes to the knife. So there was a mini version out now, and then there's also a locking version, which is interesting. I don't really plan on buying either of them because the functionality is the same, and that's kind of what I wanted to add to my collection. And the lock does seem like a good option because depending on how you carry this in your pocket, if you carry it tip up, no matter how it falls open, it's not going to accidentally deploy. But if you accidentally put it in your pocket tip down, which is pretty easy to do, it could very easily deploy, put a hole in your pocket, or worse, your leg. And so it is kind of cool that there is a locking version of it now. But for me, it's super illegal to carry, so might as well just have the more dangerous version that's a lot more fun. And so that's a cool knife. Now, the reason I started with this one is it's an expensive knife. And so I'm just curious on people's thoughts on fun knives that you don't plan on carrying. Not safe queens, but knives that you buy because they're interesting and unique or different or fun, but aren't going to be carried. Is that something that you'll spend the same amount of money, or in this case more than a lot of the knives that I actually carry on, or is that something where there's not really a place in it, your collection, you're only buying practical knives, or maybe you buy fun knives but only if they're cheap? And I would just love to hear other people's thoughts on it. Obviously there's no judgment. I'm not here to police what you buy or even care what you buy. I like fun knives, I like cool knives. If you want to buy safe queens, go for it. If you want to buy only practical knives or budget knives or anything you want, do that. So not a judgment in any case, just kind of curious what people's thoughts on that are. And so the second one is a little bit cheaper. I still wouldn't consider it a budget knife, but this is the CRKT Provoke, and it's a morphing karambit, I think is what they call it. Really interesting knife. Now, this one looks like it would be illegal, especially when you snap it out, but pretty sure this one's legal to carry in California. It's a locking knife, and it's not automatic or assisted in any way. It just works really well and is super snappy. And so this one I'm pretty sure is legal. Definitely consult local laws and lawyers if you need to, whatever you need to do to determine if you can legally carry this, but I don't carry it for a different reason, and that's that this one's not super practical. If you're knife fighting, of course, a karambit is super practical, and there are some uses for that hawkbill style blade, but for me, the reason it's not as practical is just the way that it carries really leads to the opportunity for accidents. And so the pocket clips on this side, it's a weird pocket clip. I don't know, they've released some newer versions of these. I don't know if they changed the pocket clip or not. It's a cool mechanism, but you can see you click or push over here and it opens up that pocket clip so you can slide it on your pants. Cool mechanism, but it puts the blade on the inside of your pocket. And what that means is this blade, which is exposed, it really has a lot of access to your hand when you're reaching in. If you keep other things in that pocket, which I do, if you're reaching for your keys, it's pretty easy to scrape up against there. I can easily get my finger under there, have poked myself before with it, and so leaves a lot exposed and a lot of open space for small objects to just get in between the blade and the handle. The other problem with it putting it on the inside of your pocket is that the mechanism to deploy it, which you just put a little bit of pressure right here and it flies out of there, that mechanism is on the inside of the knife as well. And so when you reach in your pocket, it probably won't snap out like that, but it's pretty easy to end up in a position like this where there's a lot more of that blade exposed. And so don't carry it for that reason. I'm still really glad I have it in my collection. Like I said, they have some newer ones that have like drop point style blades. I think they also changed the locking mechanism, which on this one isn't ideal because there's no way to unlock it and close it with one hand. It always requires two hands, so it deploys rapidly, but you can't really deploy or engage that lock to unlock the blade with one hand, and even if you do disengage the lock, you still need your second hand to push it back up into that closed position. So not super practical, but a super fun one, a super cool one. These are the type of knives, again, that are just interesting showpieces. I feel like that's come up a lot in this week's videos, but It is what it is. But let me know what you think of these two knives down in the comments below if you have either of them. And then, of course, just want to talk about that general idea of fun knives and how they fit into your collection. And especially if you have some knives that fit into that category that aren't these two. I'm always looking for inspiration on that sort of stuff, so would love to hear about your fun knives as well. But thanks so much for watching. Again, be sure to subscribe to Singing Toad, and that will be linked in the description. And also like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification button if you enjoyed this video. And as always, I hope you have a great one. Take care.